Hello again, YouTubers. This video was requested. I have a friend, one of my subscribers. He texts me when he has problems, but the motor that I sent him, something happened when it left here. It had compression. Now it doesn't have compression, so he's sending that out. He's sending the sleeve to have it repinched. So he's moving the motor from his Fortec over to his Stampede, his dual drive Stampede. It's Nitro, and he has a 2.5 in it. And so basically his problem is, this is my axial 32RR1. So with Traxxas motors, instead of using a bolt to hold the flywheel, to hold the clutch belt onto the flywheel, basically, well, not the flywheel, but the crankshaft, they use an E-clip. Personally, it's harder to set correct in play, which is the amount it will go forward and backwards like this, and you can actually see as I take the bolt off, more and more in play is there. Ah, Lord, I just dropped a damn shim. Of course. I'll find it. So, when you are changing a clutch belt is this. This is a clutch belt. It has the pinion attached to it, and then you have a bell. So you take that off, and then you have another bearing that usually sticks to the crankshaft, and then you have shims. This is how we adjust the end play. This sadly has a Traxxas clutch. A Traxxas clutch is two shoes with a spring wrapped around it. A expansion spring, I believe it's called. I'm not exactly sure. So, say I was to add too many shims. So put this back together. And as I put it together, I add too many shims, and I'm purposely going to add too many. And I will show you what happens when I add too many shims. See if I can find whatever fell. I don't think anything fell. I think it was just in the corner of my eye. But we'll still do it. I'm going to add one extra shim. And what this will do is this will tighten the bearings down as I put it back together. And I'm shaking. Like a damn chihuahua, I shake so much. As I tighten it down, I won't be able to tighten the bolt to the shaft itself. It's going to tighten up against the bearings. And it barely even did it there. So basically, if there are too many shims, the clutch bell assembly is supposed to rotate when it's not running or when it's running. If it's not running, the clutch bell should rotate freely of the flywheel. On the flywheel is the clutch. Seeing it's not running, the clutch is not spread apart, grabbing the clutch bell, so it should be able to turn over. And you usually want about 0.5 millimeter of end play front to back. That's if you grab it and pull and then push. You want about 0.5 millimeter. I mean, you don't want it tight, but you don't want it loose. So yeah, if it's just sitting there, it should spin. When it starts up, the motor should turn over, and the clutch bell should sit. It should not spin at all. It should just remain stationary. Now, the two main reasons why it may not do this is you may have too many shims, but that's hard to do with a Traxxas, seeing that they use the E-clip, which with Traxxas, here's a Traxxas motor. This is one of my messed up, but still piston sleeve, everything is good on it. I just need a new head and case. But it has a little groove at the front. a E-clip can go over that holding the clutch belt on, so it won't come off. I personally like to put a bolt down the center. It's usually a 2.5 M bolt, usually about 5 millimeters long, so half a centimeter, and that'll allow me to tighten it down, add shims, do whatever I need to. It allows you to do a little more fine tuning of the end play, the shimming, things like that. The second reason why it may not spin, it will stay connected to the flywheel, is something up under the clutch belt is binding. Say your clutch belt isn't seating, there's a gap between the flywheel and the clutch belt. That usually means something up under the clutch belt is binding. It could be the clutch mounts, which are two small little shafts that come up. They're probably about 4 millimeters long, maybe 5. And there's 2 of them with triple and quad shoe systems. There's 3 and 4 shoes. I actually have a 4-shoe clutch. Well, flywheel. There's a 2-shoe. Where the hell did you go? I'm getting into my box of parts. I just had it. Another. Damn it, where'd you go? There it is. Like this one, you see. There's 4 shafts, so you can put 4 shoes on this. But you have to have some. Nowadays, there's a cap that goes on top to hold the shoes in place, like Works clutches, WERKS. Buku and Alpha clutches, you're going to see a triple shoe setup. But if for some reason, first you're going to want to check, okay, are the bearings okay? If the bearings are okay, then check the shimming. If it's not seating all the way down, you need to see why the clutch belt is not seating all the way down, and there's a gap between the end of the clutch belt and the flywheel. Personally, I don't have that because, there may be shims in the way on the flywheel nut, which is what holds the flywheel onto the crankshaft, so it doesn't rotate independently. But those are the 2 main reasons why you would have it bound up. Either adding too many shims, which is hard, like I said, it's hard to do with a Traxxas motor because it's really hard to add preload to the bearings, which adding too much preload will make them seize up. They won't act as bearings, they'll just work more like a bushing, and then it will try to slide on the shaft, the crankshaft, and it'll be very resistive and it'll spin with the flywheel. And you never want always want, even if the motor's idling, you never want the wheels to continue spinning, because if the wheels are spinning, that means the clutch belt is attached to the crankshaft in some way other than your clutch itself. The only time you ever want your clutch belt to spin with your flywheel is when you rev the engine up and the clutch is spread out and grab the inside of the clutch belt. But yeah, those are the 2 main reasons. Binding up under, which is hard to see because, you can't see through metal, so you'll have to take the E-clip off, look up under, see what's going on, put it back on, fit it, test fit it, take it back off, just take some time. And then second, the E-clip, which again, like I said, it's really hard to preload these bearings too much because you're not using a bolt that's pushing. You're just putting an E-clip across, so you're not putting any load onto the bearings. But the person that requested this video, basically what's happening is his 2.5, he lost compression in it, and that's what's in his Stampede, his dual drive Stampede. So he's taking the motor from he's sending that sleeve and piston out to a racing to have it repinched. and he's taking the motor out of his Fortec, which is also a 2.5, and putting it in his Stampede. He doesn't have as much room to run on-road cars, so he doesn't mind losing his Fortec for a little while. But when he turns over his flywheel, if you hold the clutch bell, well, the pinion on the clutch bell, you should be able to spin the engine over freely. Right now, this engine is spinning so freely because there is no glow plug in this motor. Or if I hold the flywheel, I should be able to give that a nice twist and it just spin freely because of the bearings. If it's binding in any way, you need to look at your clutches. You need to look at any type of binding up under the clutch bell, and you need to look at your shims. Those are the main reasons why it would bind up in any way. Especially from the picture he sent me, there is about 2 millimeter gap between the flywheel and the clutch bell. That's too much of a gap. So yeah, something's not looking right there. This is a 17 tooth clutch bell. They make them up to 25. I know someone that makes a 35 tooth. He makes custom clutch bells, custom spur gears, all kind of stuff. He's actually got some of my. I almost sent my Kyosho to him when I couldn't get the damn spur gears, but I found out the metal on it was actually soft and it was not HD. So the person I bought them from on eBay had to send me all my money back, and I sent him the parts back, and I ended up buying just a brand new center differential assembly, all of it. So yeah, that's it. There's no other reason that a clutch bell should not spin freely. You don't want to test it by spinning the flywheel, because yeah, there's always going to be a little bit of friction. There's no such thing as 100% frictionless bearings. So as I spin this, you can actually see the clutch bell is spinning. But if I hold the clutch bell still, it'll move with my finger, but with my thumb, I'm turning the engine over, and they're spinning independently of one another. So again, check the preload on your bearings. Hard to preload bearings with the E-clip. And then check up under the clutch bell. With certain clutches maybe a little thicker than others, so the clutches will grab the clutch bell. The width of the clutch bell may be taller. Like with these compared to a Traxxas clutch bell. This is the Traxxas. It's quite a bit thinner. I mean, you can see. This is a big block clutch bell. This is a Traxxas clutch bell. It's a lot. Just, you have so much more room, and also the gear itself is bigger. But you can see right there how much of a difference there is. This right here, if I was to put this clutch bell on this flywheel assembly, it would get bound up on the clutch assembly, which includes these shafts. Which with these, there's only 2 of them. I could cut these 2 off and just run with 2. Run a double shoe clutch setup. But this clutch bell would not fit because it's too thin. The clutch bell itself is too thin. It needs to be about 2 millimeters wider. And again, the teeth, same teeth count. Well, not count, but M1, so everything there is the same. See if I have any other clutches. Yeah, again, another Traxxas clutch. No, I don't think that's Traxxas. But again, very thin. But then in my box, I have more big block clutches. That's not big block. Here's getting a little closer. This is a triple speed for a Kyosho Mad Force. You can see that clutch bell is quite thick. It's taller. Put it side by side, you can actually see it's taller. So those are the reasons that would cause your clutch bell to bind. If it were me, I would take the flywheel. I would take the entire assembly off. I would take the flywheel If I was changing a motor from one vehicle to another, I would change everything. That would be taking the clutch bell off the motor from the Stampede, taking the clutch shoes off, and taking the flywheel off. And then from the Fortec motor, take all that same stuff off, put the stuff from the Stampede on it, the flywheel, then the clutch bell, make sure everything's shimmed correctly, add your E-clip, and then it'll fit. Because, like I said, some clutch bells are different. They'll have different heights. Like if I set these next to each other, they're not different. But that one's taller. Not the gears, the bell. See if I can find another. Here's the big block. There you go. This would be a big block clutch bell, and this would be a small to mid block clutch bell. You see, this one is much taller. I'll even get this close to the camera. This is Traxxas. Well, some type of Traxxas. And I can't remember what this is, but it works. I think that's actually the stock clutch bell off my Kyosho. It's 13 tooth, excuse me. But my Kyosho buggy. But you can actually see the difference in the actual clutch bell depth or height. I know I've said many different terms: thickness of it, length of it, height, depth. To me, all the same. And also, the Traxxas fits inside because this uses a bigger clutch system. Because with big blocks, more power, you need more surface area to grab. The less surface area, you won't have as much grabbing force. That's why we use triple and quad shoe setups. There's more surface area to grab. With Traxxas motors, there's only two shoes. One grabs on one side, one grabs on the other. That's pretty much how they work. Fit scales. They use something very similar. They're just bigger. They're really big. They're about that big compared to that big. So yeah, that's it. That's as much as I can really show. Unless the engine is in front of me and I'm rebuilding it, there's not much I can do in the way of, okay, this is what's going on, this is the problem. All I can say is, okay, this is what you're going to have to look for. And beyond that, I can't really do much more than that because the motor's not in front of me. It's 1,000 miles north. So, I hope this helps. If not, sorry. I'll continue helping as much as I can. That's one thing my channel is all about, is helping. But I will end with this. I finally got 4 more receivers within probably this week. This right here will be done. All I have to do is add a receiver and tires, and I'm done. That's going to be fun. So again, thank you for watching. Got any questions, comments, hit below, or if you have my phone number, text me, email me, whatever. Peace.